Welcome to the YMCA of San Francisco's Classrooms for All. My name is Reesha, and today we are going to be learning about taking climate action by reducing our food waste. If you would like to follow along, it might be a good idea to get something to write with and something to write on. And otherwise, just enjoy, and thank you so much for being here with me. Let's start by taking a nice deep breath in through our nose and out through our mouth. I love taking a moment to breathe because it helps me come to this present moment where I am right now. And where I am right now is in San Francisco, which is the unceded homeland and territory of the Ohlone people. Unceded means it was forcibly taken. And so I think it's important for us to acknowledge where we are and how that land came to be a place where we can be today. If you want to learn more about the Native and Indigenous history of the land where you are, you can go to native-land.ca. So one of the things that we'll talk about today to reduce our food waste is how we can make use of what we already have. You might be curious about what I have here. I love to eat food. Are you someone who also likes to eat food? I think about food as a really important way of connecting with the planet and the climate. Our climate is a system that includes so many different things. And right now, our climate is experiencing lots of changes that are in part due to an increase of fossil fuel use. Fossil fuels are non-renewable resources. That means that once they're used up, they're gone forever. So when we think about addressing climate change by taking climate action, we want to think about using resources that can be renewable. We also want to think about how we can take a small step from within our very own home to reduce our impact on climate change through the use of fossil fuels. One of the things you can do is to reduce your food waste. I know this might seem like a big jump. Food to the climate, what's the connection? If we can reduce our food at home, our food waste at home, we can reduce the impact we're having on the systems that process our waste. Up to 1/3 of the food that's brought into homes in America ends up in waste. Depending on where you are, that could mean that it's in the compost. Maybe it goes to municipal city compost like it does here in San Francisco. Or maybe it ends up in the trash if you're in a place that doesn't have compost and you don't have a compost of your own. So what we want to do is minimize the amount of food that's ending up wasted. That can have a significant impact. If it doesn't even end up in the compost, it can end up in the landfill. And when it's in the landfill, it starts to decompose in a way that releases methane gas. And methane gas is incredibly damaging to our ozone layer. And it makes a huge impact on the rising temperatures that contribute to changes that we see in our climate. So if we want to address climate change from our very own home, looking at our food waste is a great place to start. So I'm also using some cardboard here. Another waste management tip is to reuse what you have at home. So just to demonstrate today, I drew some food scrap samples that we can look at and talk about one of my favorite ways to minimize food waste. So rather than bring in a lot of food today to this room at the YMCA, I didn't really want to create food waste in this demonstration about reducing food waste. So I drew some pictures instead. Some of the things that might get tossed out in your preparation of other foods can make a great vegetable stock. That means we'll take scraps of foods that were going to go in the compost in the first place, and first make a delicious soup with those scraps. It's full of nutrients and it's full of flavor, and it's a great way to nourish yourself as you take action to address climate change. So what are some things that can go in our veggie stock? Well, we can use mushroom stems. A lot of people like to chop the stems of their mushrooms because maybe they've gotten a little woody or stiff and maybe don't taste like a texture you want to chew. Something else you can put into your veggie stock is onion skins. Very tasty. Maybe the leaves from your celery. If you're chopping up celery, you can make sure to put aside the leaves, or you can even turn those into a tasty pesto. The tops from your carrots. If you get your groceries from a place where the tops of the carrots are still attached, you can make good use of those. You can either turn those into a pesto, a special kind of sauce, or you can put them into our veggie stock. The peels from your potatoes, yes, amazing. Full of nutrients, full of flavor. The ends of your stems from your kale or your chard or your cabbage, these are great things to put into your soup stock. And of course, herbs. If you are like me and you like rosemary or basil or thyme or oregano, and you can pick the leaves directly off the stems, what happens to the stems? Those are still full of flavor, full of nutrients, and are a great addition to your soup stock. Remember, you always want to wash the food that you are going to be eating. So, for example, even though I might be peeling my potatoes for a recipe, I'm going to wash that potato first and then peel it so those peels are ready to go. I want to wash my carrots and then chop the tops off before I use them for my soup stock. And so on and so forth. Even my onions. I know it might sound a little silly, but I always make sure to wash my onions, and then when I peel them, I only wash them right before I prepare them, otherwise they can get moldy if they're just sitting on my shelf for days on end. So I let them be dry, and then when it's time to cook, I'll wash and then save the skins. I also need to remember to peel off stickers. I can't tell you how many times I've accidentally found a sticker in my soup. Unfortunately, I am living in a place where there are a lot of stickers on my food, and almost all of those stickers are made of plastic. So the next time you're getting your food, take note, maybe it's come with a free piece of trash. You want to make sure to peel that off and put it into the trash, unfortunately. There are lots of other places in the world where they don't have that system. So if you notice that your vendor is not using stickers and you like that, you can write a comment card. Those make a big difference. But what if you're not ready to use your veggie scraps right away? How do you keep them fresh so that they're still edible when it's time to make veggie stock? Well, either you can put them into a baggie, or you can put them into a container, like this one, and then you put it in the freezer. When that container is full, that's when I know it's time to make soup stock. So I'll take out this frozen block of veggie scraps that are fresh and clean, and just maybe I didn't have a use for in other parts of my cuisine, and then I'll put it into a pot, make sure it's covered with water, put some salt in there, and then I'll simmer it for maybe even up to an hour. My favorite thing to do is actually use a crock pot and let it simmer on its own, but maybe you have other ways that you want to do it too. When it looks like it's taken on a nice rich dark color and it smells delicious in my home, I'll strain out the solids and I'll be left with a full pot of delicious broth that has seeped out the nutrients and flavor of the veggies. Now these scraps can now that they've been simmered and turned into soup stock, these can go into the compost, and this soup stock can be used as the base for my soup, or I can put it into rice or quinoa if I'm making grains. It's a delicious, flavorful way to minimize your food waste and see what kinds of fun you can have in the kitchen. It's amazing. Well, friends, thank you for taking the time to learn with me today. We learned about how to minimize your food waste by using your veggie scraps to make soup stock at home. And I'm really interested to see how that turns out for all of you. If you want, you can find a way to connect with us on our website and learn about other classes that we have. My name is Reesha, and I hope to see you again. You can look at ymcasf.org/classrooms-for-all to find out more and find out about the next time you and I can do something together to help our climate. Have a great day. I'll see you soon.
Did you know that YMCA of San Francisco never closed? When shelter-in-place happened, we could no longer provide in-person programming. We quickly shifted to provide youth and family programming virtually. As early as April, we started providing on-demand activities in our YMCA of San Francisco YouTube channel.
For this video, we're going to be making a geodesic dome.
Today, we're going to be making a hovercraft. The science around this activity is really awesome.
In addition, we have a regular schedule of activities for our youth and families to join live. We feature read-alouds, yoga, family Zumba, arts and crafts, drawing clubs, and more. So don't miss out on our virtual youth and family offerings. Visit www.ymcasf.org for more info and class schedules.